Welcome to High Neighbors Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Rackett, so sit back, relax, and let's talk about it. So, I want to tell you guys a story about how I decided to become a mobile dog groomer. As you can see, I have been an entrepreneur for 10 years with my dyslexia, but yes, and I've been doing my thing, right? So, I want to explain the faith over fear situation when it came to this, and to let people know that like things can happen even when you feel that they can't. Like impossible is real. Like the Whitney Houston, impossible. That is real. That is truly real, and I'm a living witness of it. So in my journey, I decided my junior year of college, I no longer want to go to school. It was my, for one, it was my second semester of my junior year, so I was almost out the door. But something else was calling for me, and I just wanted to pursue that. So one day I was at home grooming my Yorkshire Terrier. I was attempting to groom him, and it actually came out pretty cute. And I was like, oh, maybe I should try dog grooming. Like, it's a thing. Like people do it. I don't see too many black people doing it, but people do it, right? And I ended up having a little change, and I was like, I'm gonna take him to the groomer and to make sure I did this right for one, and for two, just to see. So I ended up taking him into his regular groomer, having a conversation with her, and she was like, yeah, let me get the boss. She got the boss. The boss came in. For one, this was my first introduction of you will be judged in this situation, and that's okay. God has a plan for you. Bam. I had my grandma whispering in my ear, God has a plan for you. Because that's my angel wherever I go. So she looked at me crazy. It's like, hey, how you doing? This, that, and the other. And she wasn't feeling me, and that was cool. But all of a sudden, another groomer had came out from the back, and she was a mask presenting black woman. And I was like, what? Somebody like me? Big. Okay, cool. So me and her started talking. And she was like, "You interested in grooming?" I was like, "Actually, I am." She was like, "Hey, that is dope." She was like, "It's a different world. It's not too many of us, but come on." So I was like, "Okay." So I ended up, doing a application online. Getting a call back, this, that, and the other, the third. I get in, and when you start this type of business for a big corporation, you actually have to go to an academy, but you have to work your way up. So I had to be like a bather for about 6 months, and then they saw my worth and then decided to send me to school. Some people actually have to wait a year or two before they get sent to grooming academy. So I was kind of, that girl. Yeah. Anyways, I ended up, going to the academy, but I had a fear that my dyslexia was going to mess it up for me. Like, because when it comes to bookwork, as a dyslexia person, sometimes that will destroy your hopes and your dreams because you just don't pick up on stuff like everybody else. But I knew my faith had to always override my fear, right? With that, I, was honest with my teacher, letting her know, a, hands on, I can do anything, right? But when it comes to bookwork, I get scared, I fear up testing. I'm not 100% always, but if I can show it to you, that's what's up, just let me do that, whatever. But she found ways to work with me, and I appreciate that so much when it came from her. And I knew another reason why I knew that this was for me, right? When I would used to tell people after I left school what I was doing, they kind of took it like, oh, you just got a regular job. And I'm like, okay, whatever. That's your opinion, right? And then another thing was, it's not too many black people that do that. You know that, right? And I was like, okay, even better, right? Let me open the door for another generation. So with that, I, went into academy, got everything I needed, graduated, top of my class, by the way. And I came back to my store, and I had to learn, the process of how to gain my own clientele, right? Because this is a competition, not a competition, but it's clientele based, right? Commission based, excuse me. I started gaining clients just being myself. I was like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna be my authentic self and not let nothing get in the way of that. And I had a lot of fears in my heart because I just knew people was gonna judge me upon what they saw and not what I can do. So I knew I had to step up in ways that was gonna be uncomfortable. But one thing I have learned about God is God will put you in uncomfortable positions to expose you to your true self, to show you your worth, right? So I started gaining clientele of different cultures, different backgrounds, and I was beyond grateful. But working for a big corporation will sometimes drain you so much that you can't even give it your all just because you're trying to make sure that you're doing so much for so many others. So I had this thing in my head that kept saying, it's time for you to, not thing, I had God in my head telling me, it's time for you to adventure out on your own. So I was like, okay, I can go work for a mom and pop shop. But then this grand idea of a mobile, I'm like, you don't hear about too many mobile groomers. And a lot of people have a hard time with getting their dogs to the grooming salon. Either they're elderly or their dogs have anxiety or different things like that. I had this special gift working in a corporation that I can handle aggressive dogs. As being a black woman in a field like this, I knew how it felt to have anxiety in so many ways. So, with working with dogs, I learned how to relax, take a breath, breathe. Everything ain't gonna be perfect, but as long as it's done, right? So, I would get a lot of the bad dogs, as you can say. And one particular dog, I couldn't handle him because it was weighing on me to out where I could get hurt. So I told, the girls at the job, I will no longer take this dog. So please let the manager know. They let the manager know. The parent ended up booking another appointment with me. And I came into work one day and I'm like, I said I'm no longer grooming this dog for my health, right? For keeping myself safe. The manager didn't care. You're gonna groom this dog or we're gonna have a problem. You're telling a 21-year-old that a millennium that? All right, cool. Do you think I groomed that dog? No. I actually quit. But I had a plan before I quit. Earlier that month, I was already doing my research of finding a mobile groomer to work with. I found a person. She was looking for someone to start ASAP. And I was like, no, I'm going to give this corporation 2 more weeks and then I'm going to just bounce. Wrote my letter, did everything I needed to do. But when that happened, I was happy I had that letter in my bag because I politely put it on his desk, packed all my things, and I left. And I started working with the mobile groomer the next day. In mobile, I was introduced to so much in so many ways of like driving the truck, seeing how things work. But I still had this little beep for working in a shop. So I actually got a job with working with someone in a shop and someone mobile. So 3 weeks I would do mobile. 3 weeks. 3 days I'll do mobile. 2 days I'll do in the shop. And it was going great, but I'm still thinking I can do this on my own. Like I I can do this. And it was someone I was working with at the corporation, the big corporate place, and they were telling me, it's hard to work on your own, growing a clientele and doing this and that. And so when I decided to leave, that was playing in my head, but I knew that was the enemy trying to control my next step, and I couldn't let that happen because I knew God had bigger plans for me. So even fighting the temptation of you're going to open your own business was like running through my head. For one, I've always been a hustler. I remember growing up selling cool cups out of my mom's house to the neighborhood kids, charging 25 cents in a cool cup. Like I always been a hustler. Like when it became to like the candy raffles and stuff at school, I'm getting everybody to buy it. Like it's going to happen. I have always beat the odds of people telling me no, that I knew in my heart that bigger things were coming for me, that I could no longer be in fear of who I truly was. So, with that being said, of me opening up my own mobile grooming, I had to make a lot of changes. For one, I had a Jeep Wrangler. Love my baby, but I had to get rid of it, right? I came out of the Jeep Wrangler, got me a Mini Coupe. I bought me a grooming table. I bought me a grooming dryer, and I would tell people, if you will let me use your water source, I can groom your dog. I started building clientele slowly, and that put me in so many different type of depressions that I no longer could control my thoughts. But I would never go to like medicine or anything like that. A little Zaza here there, but I would never take it like to the doctor or anything. And I would just pray. I would just pray. I would just pray, God, if this is for me, you're gonna make a way. You're gonna continue to make a way, no matter how people may judge me as a masculine woman. God has always and will forever be the head of my life because He has brought me so far and showed me so much greatness that no one can take that away from me, no matter how much they might judge me. Even in my depression, I knew God was going to make a way. And the praying fear mom that I have, she always made me believe and trust in that. Going through this, it just made me awaken to know that faith will always beat fear, right? So in this stage of my life, I knew that I had an opportunity to do something great and to break generational curses for me as a black woman, as a mask presenting woman. So I did it. I started gleaning, I started gaining clients slowly, but I started gaining them. 2020 hit hard for a lot of people, but for me, it was like the biggest boom in my business because nobody was going anywhere and a lot of mobile groomers wasn't taking dogs. So I was taking what people weren't taking. I was going to apartments, houses, outside in the cold, grooming dogs, doing it all. And I just knew this was my sign from God that you're walking your path. And what's so crazy is when I was younger, I was terrified of dogs. And for this to have its own way of life, to show me that my fear can never overstop my faith, I knew I was walking in my purpose. And when in 2020, I decided I'm going to build me a grooming truck. I told my mom is my business partner. I told her, and we got the thing rolling. We found the truck. We found someone who can do the build out and everything. People were still telling me that, my little business wasn't going to succeed in their own way of saying it. And my business continued to grow. And what's crazy is a word of mouth is everything when it comes to starting your own business. People seeing your creativity in you being you and trusting no matter what your obstacle may be or how you may look. But when you good at something, people go come knocking. People go come and they go keep your name is going to surface the area in any way possible. It's when you walk in faith, the devil has no choice but to move out the way because God is going to always do his thing. When my business got even bigger, as in becoming mobile and getting my own van, it got so heavy that it started putting a toll on me because I was taking so many dogs that I was wearing myself out. I had to learn how to balance out the new clients from the old clients. Like I had to put myself on a schedule. But for all that being said, if you're in a journey right now and you feel like things might not be falling into place that you thought they would, you feel that you're the outcast, the black sheep, or you just not as gifted, stop telling yourself that. Let your faith override your fears. No longer walk in shame of who you are and believe in yourself. Trust no matter what may come in your way or what you may face. It's going to be hard times in a business, in a new opportunity, or your job that you might be working or anything, in having a new baby or getting married or finding your first love. Life is going to have its own challenges, but when you have a faith and believing and trusting in it, things are going to play itself out. But that's all I have for you today. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for tuning into Hot Neighbors Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Rocket. Peace.